around 7. Our neighbor asked us to model for a pop-up shop.
Okay.
And we were like, yeah, let's do it. And then we started to actually like it. And so our mom created an Instagram account for us. And like from there, we kind of just like blew up really fast. And we're so grateful for every opportunity we have.
They were perfect, but something changed. At just 7 years old, Ava Clemens and Leah Clemens didn't just go viral. They became a global obsession, hailed as the most beautiful twins in the world. Their faces everywhere. Their lives unfolding in front of millions.
It just, we see it more, and it's just like...
And we have control of our platform a lot more now because we do TikTok and stuff. And so yeah, we see all of it. If people have time to sit behind a screen like, hey, like there's just no time in like watching it or seeing it. Like there's no point.
It looked like a dream. Fame, fashion deals, a picture-perfect childhood. And then everything nearly fell apart. Almost no one noticed when things started to shift. So what really went on behind those perfect photos? And what really happened to the girls the world thought it knew? The early years that set the stage. They say some people are born to shine, and for Ava Marie and Leah Rose Clemens, the spotlight seemed to find them from the very start. Born on July 7, 2010, in Orange County, California, the twins arrived 4.5 weeks early. Most babies born that early need a lot of medical care, but even in their hospital bassinets, the girls had something special. Nurses and family noticed their bright, curious eyes and tiny, perfect smiles. They didn't just survive, they radiated a presence that made people pause. Their mother, Jackie Clemens, saw it immediately. These girls have something, she thought, watching them interact with the world around them. Photogenic doesn't even begin to describe it. Even without makeup, fancy outfits, or staged lighting, they seemed camera-ready. And modeling wasn't entirely new to the family. Older brother Chase had dabbled in a little modeling, and their father, Kevin, was no stranger to the spotlight himself. A former elite swimmer, Kevin had been an Auburn All-American and won a silver medal at the 2003 World Championships. Later, he became a respected coach, teaching discipline and focus to young athletes. So in a way, Ava and Leah were born into a family that already knew what it meant to perform under attention. Life in those first months was fairly normal. The twins grew up surrounded by a loving household in Southern California, spending mornings exploring parks, afternoons playing with Chase, and evenings listening to their parents share stories of sports and life lessons. But Jackie could see a spark in them that was unusual. When the twins were just 6 months old, she took a careful step. She signed them with a small modeling agency. She didn't push them into the industry right away. Instead, she waited, letting them be babies first, letting them discover toys and giggle at their reflections. She wanted childhood before cameras. Everything changed in 2017. A neighbor with a boutique needed a few local kids for a simple photo shoot. It was meant to be small, casual, nothing that would change the twins' lives forever. But when the photographer captured Ava and Leah together, something magical happened. Their eyes sparkled, their smiles seemed to light the entire frame, and their natural chemistry was undeniable. It was as if the camera wasn't just recording them, it was celebrating them. Jackie posted the photos on Instagram, expecting maybe a few hundred likes. Instead, the account blew up. Within months, it reached over 1 million followers. People all over the world were drawn to them. And then came the headline that would define a part of their childhood. Meet the most beautiful twins in the world. Published by the Daily Mail. Overnight, Ava and Leah weren't just two little girls from Orange County. They were a global phenomenon. Once the attention hit, the opportunities came fast. Brands reached out to feature the twins in campaigns. Target, Levi's, Mattel, and other major names wanted to work with them. At the same time, their runway debut came at Rookie USA during New York Fashion Week, a major stage for young models, and they took it in stride despite their youth. Acting roles followed, small but notable, in shows like Brat TV's Chicken Girls and Hulu's Light as a Feather. For outsiders, it looked like a dream life. Cameras, fancy clothes, travel, and constant admiration. But even in those early days, there were hints that this kind of attention carried weight. Constant travel meant missing regular school days. On-set tutors replaced traditional classrooms. Photo shoots demanded long hours of standing, posing, and holding expressions until the camera caught the perfect shot. The world was cheering for them, but the pressure to stay flawless never left. The glamour was real, but so was the invisible cost, the small sacrifices that would only become clearer in later years. Despite that, the twins adapted remarkably well. They laughed, played, and learned quickly how to navigate cameras, interviews, and schedules. But even with their natural charm and early success, every smile captured for social media came with tiny choices and compromises behind the scenes. Could a 7-year-old truly understand the weight of the title Most Beautiful in the World? Could she understand what it meant to carry an entire global audience's admiration and expectation? And yet, Ava and Leah continued to thrive. Their mother and father guided them carefully, making sure the girls still experienced birthdays, beach trips, and family dinners. Even amidst the whirlwind of fame, there was always a home where they could be just kids. But the combination of natural talent, family support, and an audience hungry for their every move ensured that the twins were on a path few children could imagine, and even fewer could handle. By the time they were hitting double-digit ages, Ava and Leah had already become more than models. They were social media icons, role models, and the subject of global fascination. Their story wasn't just about beauty. It was about influence, attention, and the early shaping of a life lived partially in public. And though the early years had been full of wonder, the stage was being set for challenges, pressures, and revelations that the public would only fully understand years later. The modeling machine that made millions. By 2018, Ava and Leah Clemens weren't just famous. They were a brand. The twins had grown from Instagram darlings into global icons of youth fashion. Big names wanted them. Nike featured them in high-profile campaigns that ran across stores and billboards. Disney partnered with the girls for seasonal promotions, and Levi's rolled out an exclusive collection for Macy's with the twins as the faces. Their influence was so powerful that it didn't stop at modeling. By 2025, they had launched their own fashion line called Caviar, a collection that mixed playful pieces with high-fashion flair. And as they entered their early teens, the sisters co-founded Cavia, a teen-centered brand making everyday clothing designed by teens for teens. Their social media reflected this meteoric rise. Instagram followers soared past 2 million, and every post carried weight. Not just likes, but real earning potential. Each sponsored post, each campaign, each appearance translated into serious money. By 2025, their net worth was estimated at $1.5 million. What's remarkable, according to the family, is that the girls themselves controlled their finances, deciding how to manage and invest their growing wealth. It wasn't just a life in front of the camera. It was a lesson in responsibility and independence at an age when most kids were learning multiplication tables. Despite the glitz, Ava and Leah's public image was carefully maintained. They rarely wore heavy makeup, usually just a touch of blush or lip gloss to enhance their natural glow. Photo shoots emphasized playful, carefree energy, capturing them laughing, twirling, or enjoying everyday moments. Family vlogs and behind-the-scenes clips reinforced the sense of a normal life amidst the glamour. Video of them biking down suburban streets, doing homework with tutors on set, or sharing silly sibling jokes with older brother Chase. For followers, the twins seemed both extraordinary and relatable, a rare combination that made them irresistible to fans and brands alike. Yet, as sparkling and effortless as it looked online, the reality behind the camera was far more demanding. Travel became a constant rhythm, domestic shoots, then flights to Europe or Asia for campaigns. Tutors replaced traditional school days, ensuring they kept up academically, while every schedule pivoted around photography, filming, and brand deadlines. On shoots, there was an unspoken rule: be perfect. Smile when tired, pose when restless, and maintain the innocence and charm that had launched their careers. One wrong expression, one tired day, could disrupt the carefully crafted image their millions of followers expected. It was the kind of pressure that has made other child stars stumble. Take, for example, Thylane Blondeau, often cited in comparisons. She was dubbed the most beautiful girl in the world at 6 and faced scrutiny and controversy for being provocative in fashion campaigns. The Clemens twins' story followed a parallel trajectory in some ways, though their family worked actively to protect their childhood, keeping their public image wholesome and age-appropriate. Still, the comparison illustrates the fine line child influencers must navigate between opportunity and exploitation, visibility and vulnerability. Even with careful oversight, the twins' lives were intense. Each day might begin with a photo shoot at sunrise, followed by travel to the next location, lessons with tutors between sessions, and evening meetings with stylists, photographers, and creative directors. Yet they adapted, in large part because it had been part of their lives almost as soon as they could walk. From tiny babies posing for boutique shoots to tweens commanding international campaigns, the rhythm of the spotlight became a language they spoke fluently. Brother Chase, meanwhile, had his own path. He modeled for Ross and Reebok, building a steady career alongside his sisters. He also launched his own apparel line called Don't Chase, a nod to his own independence in the family spotlight. While Chase's career was more modest than Ava and Leah's, it complemented the family narrative of a household where talent, ambition, and discipline intersected with childhood in unique ways. For the public, Ava and Leah represented a fairy tale brought to life. They were beautiful, talented, and seemingly joyful. Every Instagram post, runway walk, and interview reinforced the story of two sisters who could have it all: fame, fun, and family support. Fans marveled at how the twins could remain grounded, balancing glamorous campaigns with ordinary life, bike rides, family dinners, and playful sibling banter. The contrast between glittering fashion sets and suburban normalcy made them feel like both stars and people you could know personally. Behind the scenes, however, the stakes were real. The constant demand for perfection meant every smile was intentional, every outfit carefully chosen, every pose studied and repeated until flawless. There was little room for the messy unpredictability of regular childhood, scrapes, tantrums, or days just wanting to play outside. Even though the twins loved modeling, there was an awareness, quiet but persistent, that they were never just children. They were public property in miniature, expected to perform and delight for millions of eyes. Questions naturally began to arise in the broader conversation about child influencers. Was this life giving them a head start, teaching valuable skills and independence? Or were they missing out on something essential: friendships, unstructured play, and ordinary mistakes that shape growing kids? Critics debated, yet the twins themselves seemed to navigate it with a surprising balance. Jackie often remarked that they genuinely loved the camera, the travel, and the creative challenges of their work. The family's approach, careful, intentional, and protective, seemed to make the impossible work. By 2022, Ava and Leah weren't just models. They were an empire of perfection. Millions followed their every move online. Brands competed to feature them. Their own businesses, Caviar and Cavia, signaled that the twins were thinking beyond modeling, ready to shape fashion for other teens. And while the polished Instagram images told a story of effortless success, the real story included effort, discipline, and an early education in responsibility that most children wouldn't encounter until adulthood. From Nike campaigns to Disney partnerships, Levi's exclusive collections to personal fashion lines, Ava and Leah Clemens had built something extraordinary. A career that mixed beauty, talent, and business savvy before most kids even entered middle school. Yet, behind the smiling faces, the flawless outfits, and the carefully curated social media, their early teens were already filled with lessons about balance, pressure, and the sometimes hidden cost of being perfect. And while the world cheered, the real narrative, the one that would test them most, was only beginning. Father's cancer battle that almost ended everything. In October 2019, the perfect world of the Clemens family suddenly cracked. Kevin Clemens, the twins' father, and once an elite swimmer known for his strength and discipline, was diagnosed with T-cell acute lymphoblastic lymphoma combined with leukemia. At 39, a life that had always seemed active, healthy, and unstoppable now faced a terrifying unknown. The news hit like a thunderclap. The glamorous photos of Ava and Leah smiling in dresses, walking runways, or twirling in sunlight couldn't mask the fear that settled over their home. Chemotherapy began immediately. The treatments were brutal, including long hospital stays, injections, fevers, fatigue, and days when Kevin couldn't even stand without help. The twins, only 9 years old at the time, watched their father struggle. They had grown up seeing him as a figure of strength, a coach who pushed limits and celebrated wins, and suddenly, that same man needed help to survive. It was a first real glimpse of how fragile life could be, even for a family that seemed perfect to the outside world. Determined to fight back, the Clemens family turned to the one thing they had that could reach thousands: Ava and Leah's platform. The girls' Instagram account, which had once shared fashion and playdates, became a tool to save their father's life. They launched a campaign raising awareness about bone marrow donation. Through partnerships with DKMS, the twins encouraged their followers to register as potential donors. Thousands responded, spreading the message far beyond the family's immediate circle. Hope arrived from an unexpected place: Kevin's own family. His brother Chris turned out to be a perfect match, offering a chance for a life-saving bone marrow transplant. In January 2020, Kevin underwent the procedure, entering a critical and grueling phase of recovery. Weeks in the hospital were followed by months of careful monitoring, medications, and slow rebuilding of his strength. For the twins, this was a new kind of challenge. They learned to be brave in the face of uncertainty, offering smiles and small acts of encouragement while carrying their own fears quietly in their hearts. Even while the world continued to see Ava and Leah's glamorous photos and playful campaigns, the Clemens household was quietly living a different reality. There were nights when the twins sat beside Kevin's hospital bed, reading stories, holding his hand, or simply being there in silence. It was a stark contrast, the perfectly posed Instagram images versus the raw, emotional moments of a family fighting for survival. The public might have seen perfect smiles, but behind the scenes, tears, worry, and hope intertwined in every day. The campaign's reach was extraordinary. The GoFundMe raised over $32,000, and over 1,000 new donors registered through DKMS, inspired by the twins' story. The family's efforts showed how social media, when used thoughtfully, could make a tangible difference in real life. Followers weren't just watching, they were participating, becoming part of a collective fight for someone's life. It was a lesson in empathy, courage, and the unexpected power of influence. Over time, Kevin's strength returned, slowly but surely. The transplant was successful, and with ongoing treatment and care, he began to regain his health. By 2025, Kevin had made a full recovery and returned to coaching swimming, proof that perseverance, family support, and modern medicine could overcome even the most frightening challenges. For Ava and Leah, this period was transformative. It was a harsh reminder that life's reality doesn't pause for fame or fortune. The experience shaped them emotionally, teaching resilience, compassion, and the importance of family above all else. This chapter of their lives revealed a new side of the perfect twins. Beyond the dresses, photo shoots, and brand deals, they were children experiencing fear, hope, and the fragility of life firsthand. Their beauty and early success had opened doors, but they could not shield them from real-world trials. The battle with Kevin's illness showed that even the most picture-perfect lives have shadows, and that strength often comes from facing hardship head-on. The accusations and backlash. As Ava and Leah grew older, the world began to watch more closely, not just their photos and fashion campaigns, but the story behind them. Suddenly, admiration mixed with scrutiny. Some critics questioned whether their mother, jockey Clemens, was exploiting her daughters for fame or money. Comments online ranged from gentle concern, "Are these girls missing out on a normal childhood?" to harsh accusations suggesting their smiles were manufactured and their playtime replaced with business. In 2019, the family's story became part of a broader national conversation when CBS News released a documentary about kid influencers. Ava and Leah were featured as prime examples of children growing up in the spotlight of social media. The program asked difficult questions. Were these kids being pushed too hard? Was fame coming at the expense of their childhoods? The documentary didn't give simple answers, but it amplified debates about child labor laws, social media regulations, and the rights of young influencers. Jockey Clemens responded openly and directly. On her blog and Instagram, she explained that the girls had loved performing since they were babies. She emphasized that every photo shoot and campaign had been designed to feel like play and fun, not work. Most importantly, she stated clearly that no parental income came from the twins' earnings. Every dollar they made went into accounts that the girls controlled themselves. The family insisted they maintained as much normalcy as possible, from school routines to family dinners, despite the whirlwind of shoots, travel, and social media attention. Despite these explanations, criticism didn't disappear. Social media discussions and media articles continued to question whether the twins' childhood had been stolen or traded for fame and fortune. Every Instagram post, runway walk, or campaign added fuel to the debate. Yet, through all this, Ava and Leah seemed to thrive. They smiled on camera, laughed in interviews, and maintained the playful energy that had made them beloved in the first place. Observers could see that while fame brought attention, it didn't erase their joy. In an unexpected way, The controversy became a catalyst for change. Lawmakers and advocacy groups began to study the rising influence of child performers on social media. The twins' experiences helped highlight gaps in existing protections. In 2024, California passed landmark legislation requiring that a significant percentage of child influencer earnings be placed in trust accounts until the child reached adulthood. This updated the decades-old Coogan law, extending protections originally written for child actors in Hollywood to the digital age. Other states like Illinois and Minnesota introduced similar measures, while Utah and Ohio proposed bills aimed at safeguarding minors working in entertainment and online media. Ava and Leah's story wasn't intended to spark legislation. They didn't seek controversy, but their visibility gave a human face to issues that were otherwise abstract. What rights do children have over their earnings? How much control should parents or managers have? How can childhood be preserved in an era where fame can arrive before a child even starts middle school? By living through these experiences publicly, the twins helped shape conversations that would impact countless other children in similar positions. Through all of the scrutiny, the twins learned lessons in resilience and self-awareness. They were reminded that being in the public eye came with responsibility, not just to brands and campaigns, but to themselves and the expectations of millions of viewers. The media could judge, the internet could speculate, but Ava and Leah were learning to define their own narrative, to assert their agency over their lives, and to find joy in the work they loved. The story of Jackie defending her daughters, the CBS News coverage, and the subsequent legislation illustrate a delicate balance. The twins thrived on stage and in front of cameras, but behind the scenes, their experiences helped society reflect on the ethics of child influence. Their success highlighted opportunities, but the controversy reminded everyone that even the most talented, adored children must be protected, supported, and empowered to control their own lives. The 2026 transformation that shocks everyone. So, what do Ava and Leah look like now in 2026, at 15? The answer is almost mesmerizing. The golden baby curls that once crowned their heads have matured into darker, richer blonde waves that fall naturally around their faces. Their features have grown sharper and longer, echoing their father Kevin's strong bone structure. Yet their bright, expressive eyes, the very same ones that captured millions of hearts in 2017, still shine with curiosity and warmth. They are undeniably stunning, but not the porcelain dolls of childhood fame anymore. This is real teen beauty, confident, natural, and grounded. Their transformation isn't just about looks, it's about presence. Ava and Leah carry themselves with poise that reflects both years of experience in front of cameras and the steadying influence of family life. The girl-next-door energy they radiate makes their beauty relatable, not intimidating. Fans who have followed them since their earliest Instagram posts are struck by how graceful yet approachable they've become. Side-by-side photo comparisons from 2017 to 2026 are revealing. The little girls who once twirled in boutique shoots have blossomed into teenagers whose elegance feels effortless. Even AI age progression predictions created years ago closely match how they look now, proving that the change has been natural, not forced. Life for Ava and Leah has shifted to a balance most teens can relate to. They live in Orange County and attend high school, where they juggle academics with extracurriculars and social life. They are competitive athletes, swimming laps in the pool like their father once did, and spiking volleyballs across the court. Friends, family dinners, and casual outings anchor them in normalcy. Leah has mentioned an interest in coaching in the future, hinting at a blend of athletic passion and mentorship. Meanwhile, they continue modeling selectively, attending fashion events and running their own social media channels, but this time on their own terms. Every post, shoot, or campaign is a choice, reflecting their individuality rather than external expectation. The public response to this transformation has been striking. Fans who once adored angelic children are captivated by confident teenagers who have grown in a way that feels authentic. Gone is the manufactured perfect image. In its place is lived-in beauty, features that tell a story of childhood, challenges, and growth. Their social media content reflects this: candid moments with friends, behind-the-scenes glimpses at photo shoots, laughter-filled family outings. They've learned to enjoy the camera without letting it define them completely. This evolution also tells a deeper story about control and agency. As children, Ava and Leah were guided by parents, tutors, and brand managers. Now, they make decisions about what they share and how they present themselves. The camera is no longer a demand. It's a tool for self-expression. They post when it feels right, collaborate on projects that interest them, and maintain boundaries that protect their personal lives. The contrast is clear: childhood fame versus teen choice. Even their friendships and hobbies reflect balance. While they travel for selective campaigns, they still attend local events, celebrate birthdays with friends, and enjoy ordinary teen pleasures like shopping trips and beach days. The twins' ability to maintain this equilibrium has surprised many observers. It's a quiet rebellion against the stereotype of the overexposed child star who loses touch with normalcy. Instead, Ava and Leah embody a blend of experience and authenticity, showing the world that growing up in the spotlight doesn't have to mean sacrificing childhood entirely. The physical and personal transformation of the twins also emphasizes the passage of time. What was once angelic, delicate beauty has matured into a confident, grounded style. Their looks tell a story of early success, public scrutiny, family struggles, and personal growth. Every strand of hair, every smile, and every glance reflects the years they've lived fully, through modeling campaigns, athletic competitions, and life lessons most kids encounter more quietly. Ultimately, the look at them now moment isn't just about appearances. It's about resilience, self-discovery, and taking control of one's story. Ava and Leah have transformed from the world's most photographed children into teenagers who command attention naturally, choose how they engage with fame, and continue to embrace life's opportunities with joy and authenticity. The magic isn't in the cameras or the brands, it's in how these girls have grown into themselves, blending beauty, talent, and agency in a way that captivates as much as it inspires. In early 2026, Ava and Leah gave their first joint interview, and what they revealed was surprising. Behind their smiles, runway walks, and social media posts, they had been quietly working to protect other kids in the influencer world. Seeing friends and fellow young creators lose money to parents, managers, or agencies inspired them to act. They personally advocated for California's 2024 Child Influencer Earnings Law, the landmark legislation that ensures a portion of minors' earnings are protected in trust accounts until adulthood. But they didn't stop there. Early in 2026, the twins launched the Twin Guard Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to helping kid influencers safeguard their money and understand their rights. The foundation is already making a tangible difference. Over 50 young creators have set up protected trusts, negotiated fair contracts, and learned how to manage their earnings safely. For Ava and Leah, it's about giving back, turning the challenges they faced growing up in the spotlight into guidance and protection for the next generation. This revelation shows a level of maturity and purpose far beyond their 15 years. Their story isn't just about beauty, fame, or social media influence anymore. It's about responsibility, advocacy, and creating change. Ava and Leah are transforming their platform from a tool of personal fame into a shield for others, proof that the experiences that shaped them can now empower an entire generation of young creators. By taking action, they've added a completely new layer to their narrative. From global sensations to teen advocates, their journey now includes fighting for fairness, protecting childhoods, and ensuring that young talent doesn't get lost in the business behind the spotlight. From being called the most beautiful in the world to who they are today, it's truly incredible. If you loved this transformation, smash that like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss stories like this.